Evaluation question 6. What have you learnt about the technologies from the process of constructing this product? Throughout the construction of Hitlist, progression was made in several technological areas. Cameras. The cameras that we used for our filming were two Sony Handycams and a Canon FS100. The Canon provided us with the majority of footage that we used, as it produced a much clearer image. As regards to the development of camera use, myself and the other camera operators of the group were already reasonably confident with the camera use, although I would say we gained more experience experimenting with different camera positions and angles throughout the shoot and throughout the production. Tripods. The tripods we used were two Velbon tripods, one with a much more reliable fluid turning system that ensured a smooth pan shot and increased stability. Tripods were something all members of the group were familiar with and had no problems using. One problem that we did encounter with the use of tripods was the fact that the shot had to remain 100% stationary with the tripod. But as a group, we felt the need for tracking shots. We took to designing and producing this rig that allowed us to put the tripod into the holders and take effective tracking shots by wheeling the tripod along with the shot. Editing. The editing software used by our group was Final Cut Pro on a Mac desktop. While this is a very capable and complex piece of editing software, we adapted quickly to the software, and after a few hours we were able to effectively edit our piece into a rough cut that, after various attempts, was drafted into a final product. One area that was more difficult was the editing of sound. Various music timings needed to be changed to make the piece flow better and make the tension rise at the correct times. This became somewhat of a tedious process given the number of times we had to readjust the sound. We also recorded our own sound effects for parts of the production, including the gas hobs. This use of Foley sound was an interesting experience that proved more fruitful than using pre-recorded sound effects, teaching us that at times we were better off using our own creations in the sound department. Other areas that we gained insight into were FX and lighting. In the original idea, we wanted to use a gun rather than a knife, so we researched into ways of making squibs and gun effects. Some of this research was actually documented on camera.
The first squib, this is chalk, just to give a smoke effect. Black and white now look better, maybe.
And then we've got the blood one that we're going to test out on a piece of paper. See if this works.
Yes! That works better. Yeah!
Yes.
That's going to be next to my chest.
This is the second squib test, this time with a perforated piece of cling film on top. So hopefully it will actually burst out of the hole in the shirt and not just rip off a load of Matt's chest hair. But still rip off a lot.
So the first two tests were party poppers, the first filled with chalk to create the basic chalk explosion to look like a gunshot, and the second was wrapped with cling film and filled with a fake blood mixture that we made. Both of those proved fairly successful, but we did have some problems actually rigging the shirt up, which is what you're watching now. We had various issues with actual application, and also the fact that once the party popper had actually burst, the blood would only stay in a very small pooling area. This is one of the reasons why we ended up going with an alternate route. In the second little clip that you saw, we tried to get around the fact that the blood was coming out in a very small area by piercing the cling film first, so that the blood could flow more freely. After research, we decided that the filming of this would be impractical and moved to the idea of a knife. This then came with a new challenge of a knife wound, a challenge fixed by a special effects makeup and latex, which after some practice the group used to great effect, producing a slit throat. Some of the stages of the slit throat are actually showed in on-set photographs here. In the lighting aspect, due to the fact that we wanted to film in black and white, after our tester shots we knew that we needed to film in a highly lit environment. But in the actual rooms, the lights were causing glare on the camera lens in most of our shots. We got around this problem using high-powered torches positioned on the floor, aiming upwards, with a thin sheet of paper over the bulb as to not saturate the room with light.